stage is Julian.
I'd like to talk about how much of a huge success my project was today. Unfortunately, for me, I didn't finish, and I can't. About a year ago, at the beginning of the school year, I made a goal, this one. You can probably see a million and one things wrong here, like, that's too much work, it's so generalized, I'm not gonna stay interested. I thought about that, but I said, I'll be fine, because I made a ton of short-term goals for accomplishing this, and I made such a foolproof plan. Well, after doing those two nearly impossible, reassuring things, how could my project possibly fail? And what can you learn from my mistakes? What point am I even trying to make? Well, to express that point, I could preach paper-thin, generalized advice with overdone analogies until I look like a walking cat in a tree poster, but I won't because it's not 1980-something, I don't want you to hate me, and I actually want to keep your attention and maybe teach you something. I could ramble on, saying things you've heard more than stay in school, don't do drugs, eat your vegetables, everyone needs to go to college. Or I could ignore that and outline some of the most important advice few are fortunate enough to learn, not from their own mistakes. The essential footnotes of success, as I call them. First, make sure you actually have a decent method of accomplishing what you want to do. There's all these maxims about, oh yeah, if you believe, you'll never fail, or if you try hard enough, you're gonna accomplish what you want. Well, if I jump off a bridge 500 feet up, and I'm wearing nothing but the clothes on my back, if I try hard enough, am I gonna be fine? Well, no, but that advice can work if you have the right method of accomplishing that. If I have a net below me, or a bungee cord, a parachute, a wingsuit, I'll be fine, probably. Next, you want to make sure your method isn't outdated and you can afford it. You don't want to be jumping off a bridge in one of those makeshift flying suits that people used in the 1500s, most of which ended up dying from crippling injuries. And make sure you can afford it. Don't just give up because the only way you want to do something is with a jetpack. A big reason I failed is because my website closed all its old forums a while ago, and the only way I could get help is with an expensive membership. Not only did this make me feel alone, but I was mostly unable to get support. Next, make sure you actually set reminders and constantly have the next part of your goal in mind. I could make an overdone analogy about eating an elephant or building a bridge, or I could ask you to do pretty much what I tried to do with a little more danger. If you don't mind risking your life, next time you go for a long trip and you're using a navigation system, turn off all of the alerts and zoom out all the way. Only look at your destination and see how far you get. I made one goal, set some short-term goals, put them somewhere I'd never look at them again, and woke up in winter break like, what's a web page? Something ducks walk on? Another thing to keep in mind, don't suddenly do a harder part of your project just because it might be more efficient. A little bit after I started this project, maybe a month after, someone, an indie developer for a game that I really liked, he contacted me and he was like, hey, I heard you're a huge fan, do you wanna work on this? And I was like, yeah, sure. And the game was going to be coded in Python. And I thought, yeah, even though I just finished Ruby, which is pretty easy and I just started Ruby, which is pretty easy and uses actual words, I'm gonna skip like 20 courses and go straight to Python. I'll be fine, I'll get used to the difficulty, it'll be more efficient. Well, it turns out that made me work way harder than I should have. It made me run into a lot more errors than I should have. I got frustrated way more than I should have. And I lost way more interest in my project than I should have. What I was doing is I broke both my legs in a car accident and I was unable to walk for 2 years, and then I finally regained my ability to walk after months of physical therapy. And then the next day I tried to run a 5K. It's not going to work very well. All these reasons and more unexpressible, very hard to convey reasons are why I failed. There is absolutely no better way to fail than having a terrible method of trying to accomplish what you're accomplishing, setting no goals and setting no reminders, and taking huge leaps that you're probably not going to make. If you do those things and you don't listen to my advice, then I guarantee you'll waste a huge amount of your time, and your project or whatever you're trying to accomplish will be a colossal failure. Thanks.